Hey guys, welcome to Bite Me. How are we doing today? Good? I know it's been a little crazy lately. Crazy's an understatement. Did you ever think we would live in such a time? I guess I did and I didn't. I saw it coming, but I mean, I don't think anybody could have predicted what's going on, but I digress. I've talked a bit before about being more intentional with the episodes, and that endeavor is going to continue. This first season of 20 or 30 episodes is kind of just a conglomeration of subjects that I've noticed that women have desire to talk about. So I just kind of threw it all in the mix there, and I've been tracking which ones get more views. It does appear that narcissism obviously is needing to come up, so we will focus a whole season on narcissism. Today's episode is about narcissism. But as the episodes and the seasons go on, we will cover entire topics rather than just a topic for that podcast episode. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. But today we are going to talk about narcissism and my experiences with it. I've expressed on TikTok before that I have 3 narcissistic ex-abusers. I'm over 3 with the husbands. I collect them like stamps, and they were all narcissists. Some worse than others. Some they err on the side of maybe sociopathic, but or even psychopathic. But at the root of it, it's narcissism. We need to talk not just about narcissism as it goes on in relationships, but rather the insidious nature of it and how it came to be a problem for our entire nation as we're seeing unfold now. We need to figure out how to prevent it from creating more problems, and also how to prevent the next generation from encountering this insidious issue. The definition of narcissism or narcissistic personality disorder is found more commonly in men. The cause is unknown, but it likely involves a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Symptoms include an excessive need for admiration, disregard for others' feelings, and inability to handle any criticism, and sense of entitlement. Sound familiar? The disorder does need to be diagnosed by a professional, and treatment does involve talk therapy. So these are things that, if you've ever been with a narcissist, if you follow my channel, it's likely that you have been. You probably know already the key traits of a narcissist. I don't even know. I mean, yes, I think that Mayo Clinic has to throw in there that it has to be diagnosed by a professional, but there are some telltale signs that there's red flags and things of that nature, like love bombing, constantly guilt writing you, things like that. Like, you need to know. You can't go get a doctor's diagnosis every time that you date somebody. You're going to have to use some of your cognitive skills to determine, okay, this is what I need to look for in this relationship. But narcissists, they don't always come in the form that you would imagine. So at first things may seem really cool, and then it may happen over time that things unfold. You'll want to watch out for that, especially if you have had any sort of childhood trauma, because you can actually trauma bond with the narcissist and end up falling in love with the same person in a different body over and over and over again, like I did. So what are the causes of narcissism? Based on what we know, narcissists are created one of 2 ways. Either they had no emotional support the majority of their lives and have to be that support system for themselves, or they had too much support from, an enabler mother, and now seek to continue to have others cater to that. This is actually a boomer phenomenon, and I've noticed that it's a cis straight white male phenomenon as well. Don't tell me I'm wrong. How many of you have had strained relationships with cis straight white men that were raised by boomers? How many of you have been in a custody case where the judge in the room who was laughing at you was a boomer, male or female, internalized misogyny or not? So the causes, are the fact that that person grew up and nobody was there to emotionally support them. And so they took over that role for themselves and ended up only considering themselves and having no compassion for anybody else because nobody had compassion for them. Or you've got this padding and, oh, you're so sweet, you're so special, and they grow up with this grandiose sense of self. Great to have self-esteem, unless you're tearing other people the fuck down, And then you got to tone it down a bit. You got to have consideration for other people. So Americans view themselves as being more narcissistic than other countries. And people in other countries agree. The United States is the most narcissistic nation in the world, and everyone knows it. We're a nation of narcissists, and that's coined by Psychology Today, actually. If there's a reason you're getting triggered by Trump, it's that. I mean, watching him with his white, cis straight white, narcissistic male tendencies getting up there and give a speech, I think that's what makes me the most angry, because when he gets up there, like, I can't separate the person from the man. All I see is all three of my narcissistic ex-white abusers. That's all I see when I see him. And damned if they all aren't Trump supporters. They like that. They like the power. And like I said, it goes deeper than just relationships. Like, white male narcissism has crept into the domination of American politics. That can be seen in Mitch McConnell. That can be seen in Ted Cruz. That can be seen in the Senate. That can be seen in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's just this entire rhetoric of, like, I mean, it's so deep in there that people don't have a choice but to acknowledge it now. It's like, where are all the other ethnicity people? Where are all the women? Why are there only white men here? It's because they inherit the wealth. And so it just continues. But I digress. This isn't about money matters. This is about white male narcissism. This is about narcissism in general, but primarily the government and what narcissism has caused our government to be what it is today. And so I mean, we can't change someone, and you can't change the system, but you can call it out. And while we don't have that power yet, and I think we'll see more of it as the boomer generation does tend to die off, or the conservative boomers, but while we don't have that power, the only option we have is to continue to expose it so that the next generation can say, wait a minute, this isn't okay. And I know it's not okay because somebody told me. Now, treatment for the narcissist, individuals suffering from narcissism rarely change unless they have the wherewithal and deep insight to seek therapy, which requires humility. And that's a trait that narcissists don't typically have. There's a stigma attached to mental health disorder that narcissism is, and there is a shame to it. Narcissists' deepest and worst fear is to have people look upon them in a negative light, or what they perceive to be a negative light. So they're never going to admit they're a narcissist, even if they know. That's what you see in Trump's attitude up there. Like, he's also very delusional, so it's hard to say with him. But additional to the fact that most people lack insurance to cover costs of psychological and mental health care, this matter will likely remain unsolved for some time until it gets the exposure it deserves. And before then, unfortunately, more people will be affected, minorities, women. That will continue on in our society until we get this under wraps here, where the distribution of wealth and power and greed is a little bit more equal. But that's why we talk about it, is understanding and acknowledging the issue in an effort to combat it. That is the answer at this time. For my part, I know what my limitations are mentally with the narcissist issues, and I know I'm very aware of what my power is in our current economic structure as well, that I am just one person, you are just one person. It is not as if, it's certainly not going to change overnight, but as long as we can know, because that's a big thing, is the narcissists don't want us to know that we still have the power. So you make sure you take back your power in your relationships. Make sure that you're speaking up for yourself. Make sure that you're not saying to yourself, oh, I'm too little for that. You're not. Like, some of you are in a situation where you have to stay with a narcissist because you've got children and property involved, but do start to take the steps to at least release yourself from that mental prison, because you want to set an example for your daughter, your sons especially. Do you want your child to be raised to be like the narcissist? No. So just do take the steps to educate yourself. What is a narcissist? How is this affecting me? How is this affecting the society? And call it out when you see it. For more references on narcissistic tendencies, you can go to psychologytoday.com. And you can also check out Mayo Clinic for the exact definition of a narcissist and delve deeper into American narcissism. You can go to my website, The Truthful Groomer, to access the blog article on this and share your input there. As always, the link tree is in the bio. Check me out on Twitter and Insta, and be sure to also take a look at the pack for more one-on-one conversation and money-saving tips in Patreon. I really appreciate you guys' listenership. I hope that you are enjoying the podcast so far, and I'll see you next time.